Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and to every nook and cranny receiving the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter and sending them into the nooks and crannies of these things called the radio. Anyway, folks, also known as AKA the Howard Boxes. We have a great show for you today. I hope some of the callers that called yesterday with unfinished business will call again, because we really want to talk to you about those issues. Anyway, before and without any further ado, let's go to the only one in the studio today, which is El Señor Jacques Van Beba.
I'm the only one here. I'm scared.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, you know what, Jack, you're well protected with great doors and cameras and all that good stuff. So, hey,
but one has a bullet hole in it.
Hey, but we reinforced it, man. So they can't really take us off air as easily as they did before. We are reinforced. Anyway, how you doing, my brother?
I'm reinforced.
You are reinforced. How you doing?
All right, I'm good. How are you this morning?
I am doing fine, especially since I'm here speaking to the one and only Van Beba. I'm doing great, and I know you have something special, or we expect something special out of you, sir.
Well, I was looking at your post this morning, and the only thing I could come up was the rule of law. Excuse me. The rule of law, the rule of law, the rule of law. What are those rules of law for? To bind the poor, to free the rich. The people see the double standard on how law is applied to the wealthy. Law only works well for the wealthy who can afford it. As democracy declines, so does the rule of law. You see it, I see it. Politicians breaking laws and escaping consequences. At some point, law crumbles. We are witnessing democracy and law crumble at our feet. I'll give you the solution at the end of the show.
All right. I love that. And, Van Beba nailed it. And the reason he's speaking about that is the first item in the show. Actually, the title of the show is, the second item, Republicans attempting a power grab in North Carolina, and privilege clear as Trump cases dropped. And I don't know about you, but and by the way, folks, we got some calls yesterday about the election and the results from a man called. I think he was a Republican that called in, and I hope he calls again, because I want to I want to continue that discussion. And I want to continue that discussion from a point of understanding that I think needs to be had. So I don't recall his name right now, but please give us a call at 713-526-5738, and let's start the conversation early. I purposefully didn't put out a video today because I'm hoping that we can actually have that conversation. Again, the number is 713-526-5738. So, folks, give us a call. Anyway, we have a great show for you today. The subtitle is Jack Smith Throws in the Towel on Prosecution of Trump. Advocates condemn legislature's power shifting as anti-democratic policy violence. And that is what it is. Policy violence in North Carolina. And what surprised me the most is how little coverage we're getting of it. Last night, the only place that I heard it was on Rachel Maddow, and of course it's covered well in the newspapers in North Carolina. But again, it is something that is coming to your doorsteps. But I want to start with Donald Trump. Yesterday, Jack Smith dropped all federal charges against Donald Trump, both for having the papers in Mar-a-Lago, meaning the classified papers in Mar-a-Lago, as well as the other case for the January 6th case, which was an attempted overthrow of the United States government. And we all saw with our own eyes the direction that Donald Trump gave to do just that. And in fact, hundreds of those thugs, hundreds of those terrorists that attempted to overthrow the United States government are locked up in jail doing substantial time. And their Führer, their leader, is now president of the United States again. Look, people get mad, right, when we talk about certain people having privilege. And Donald and Brother Van Bever just spoke about the wealth of being able to get away with much. And but you can't help but see it's a special wealthy that gets away with much. It's a special wealthy that has this type of privilege. This type of privilege to do wrong and have as the highest court in the land, says you are immune to doing wrong while you're president, and as long as you claim it's presidential duty. The last resort in our judiciary said that was okay. But the last resort in our judiciary isn't the last result in this country. The last result is you, the people, we, the people of the United States. And for those who want to blame the Supreme Court for having given Donald Trump some leeway, for those who want to blame the Attorney General for taking a long time before he started the prosecution of Donald Trump, that they may be guilty of that. But the most guilty of them all is us. Because we, after seeing this guy attempt to overthrow the United States of America with violence, with the death of an officer, with the death of one of his own followers, with the attack, with the dismemberment or the debasement of our capital, we still decided that we should elect this guy. In other words, whatever prejudices we have, we allowed those prejudices to elect somebody completely unfit for office. And now we're seeing it with the selection that he's making, which shows, as Kamala Harris had said during the entire presidential run that she did for 3 months, that this guy was not a serious guy. So now you get an unserious guy appointing someone with who claimed to have had a worm in their head, who is an anti-vaxxer, to lead our Health and Human Services Department. To get someone who has colluded with Russia, as best we can tell, to run our DIA, our Department of Intelligence, DNI. It is amazing. And it seems like we have Curtis on the line. And Johnny, I'll come to you after Curtis. Curtis is a young man who called yesterday, and we had a very good discussion as to why many in the working class, with all those things we've known about Donald Trump, chose to put a convicted felon, a rapist, and all these negative things that are not conjecture, but fact-based. But they still felt it better to put that in the office as opposed to a competent, intelligent person. So let's go to Brother Curtis. Curtis, come on in, sir.
Yes. Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, my friend. Talk to me.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out where we left off at. But
I don't want to go from where we left off. I want to start from the beginning because this is important. And let me go ahead and set it up here if you allow me to, my dear brother. My contention is that nobody bears responsibility more for having Trump in office than we the people. After all, we the people and put him in both by popular vote, however minute, and electoral college, larger because of the undemocratic nature of our country. And you said that there are reasons why many in the working class gravitated towards Donald Trump. And I'd like to know what reason. And you said, yesterday you said you were a black guy and you were a Republican. I find that problematic, but I really honestly want to listen. So I'm all ears.
Okay. Yeah, I'm former military. Colin Powell is a hero of mine. That's one of the, not main reasons, but that was one of the reasons why I became Republican years ago. Of course, I think a lot of us, black working class or just working class people in general, we look at Donald Trump as the loudest voice. And I'm fortunate enough to be in a blended family. My wife had kids, I have children. And one thing that I noticed along the years is that sometimes the loudest voice wins. Doesn't have to be right. And so I felt like the Democrat Party just didn't have a lot of the voice. They wasn't speaking anything that we wanted to hear. And in the working class, I've had kind of some strange careers. So I worked in Brazil for 4 years. And one of the reasons why I always had a problem against this free health care or the health care that Obama tried to initially enforce is that I saw how it didn't work in Brazil. And one of the guys was a close friend of his. And I've seen these hospitals close down. I saw where they ran out of money before the 30 days was out, or 60 days where they was allotted a certain amount of money. And, so that was just one thing. But one thing about being heard is that when I'm just talking about for blacks right now. And I don't want to separate that because I think that's one problem. That's a whole other problem. I think we should just be Americans, but it haven't been fixed, so we can't even, go there. But as a black person, I see that a lot of us voted, and I was working in a housing project during the time about 6-7 months ago. And I even saw that people who did go to work and tried to get work was blaming Biden. And I feel that the Democrat Party wouldn't show their face enough to even say, hey, look, this is not our fault, or we're going to find jobs for you. But instead, to a lot of black people who are looking for jobs and work, the Democrat Party began discussing other issues that we don't care about as much. And I agree with you when it comes down to this transphobia and all of this. I understand that. I mean, I'm not sitting here believing that, 2 million people today is trying to go get a sex change. Now, as a Christian man, of course, I don't really care for that. But I'm not hateful enough to think that this is a real issue. But the problem is when I hear a government say more about one other race or something else, another problem, and we haven't even fixed our problem, then immediately I'm going to turn my cheek and say, I got to go back over here and listen to this guy. For one, he's speaking more. He's angry at the government. Most of us are. And when that's kind of entertaining at the same time, it's one thing that we look at and say, man, I feel the same way he does. He's not talking the same thing we're saying, but he's saying he's angry at the government. He's saying the government is too big. He's saying that the government hates you. And the other thing about Donald Trump is that he wasn't afraid to actually say something about black people. And that was amazing to me, that the Democrat Party, who try to use us a lot of times, are even afraid to even mention that name. Not like Joe Biden did 4 years ago when he got in front of TV and said, if you're not black, if yeah, something, whatever you say.
If you don't vote for me, you're not black. Yeah, I remember that. It's condescending. You're right. Yeah.
So these things are distasteful sometimes that Democrats throw out there. And like I said, this is not the only reason, but a lot of reason why you see so many people decide that, hey, you know what? I can't continue to just vote for these people. They don't have anything to offer. And even if they do, they never say it. They just don't have a lot enough voice. And anyway, I digress. I have a few other things, but I want to hear your point on that. I do appreciate your show. A lot of, things that you say, I do agree with. I just can't see a party who never really recognizes us I'm talking about honest recognize, not just for votes, where look at us and say, okay, we still have a problem here, let's try to fix it. But instead, they look at so many other issues first, although you always try to entertain us with this foolishness like, shows, rappers, and I hate that type of stuff. We are exactly the same as white, brown, blue, yellow. We need our family fed. We want shelter over our heads, and we want to succeed. That's it. That's all we're looking for. And if
let me tell you,
try at least speaks about that more, then that's what we use to vote for. Go ahead,
Curtis. First of all, you know what is unfortunate? I agree with everything that you've just said, except the healthcare portion. So let's talk about what we agree with. The Democratic Party is lousy at telling at giving the message. You're absolutely right. And the reason why is the parts of the Democratic Party that puts out the message, puts out the ads, puts out the way that you engage with the people are a bunch of elitists who probably wouldn't know a working class person if one spit on them. So you're right. I'm not going to argue with that position at all. When it comes to being condescending to not only black folks, but to Latinos, both sides are. But it stings more from the Democratic Party, since you would expect the Democratic Party to try harder. And I have personal experience with that, which I've documented in my book as well. I think it's in my book, in my last book, where I said that as a black man, as a black Latino, Afro-Latino Caribbean man, and I specify that all of the time because I want it known that I have the experiences of many different ethnicities. Black, because that's who I am. Latino, because that's where I'm from. And Caribbean, because that's my heritage. Now, I've seen when I've gone in progressive spaces, I'm all over in progressive spaces with the Daily Coast and other areas where we're doing activism. And you're so right. When I am in the right-wing spaces, they want to prove to this activist that they are not racist. And notice what I'm saying. They're trying to prove that they're not racist. So they cater to me. When I go to the left-wing spaces, there is no catering. All right. But it's worse that there's no catering. As I've said on my program before, America has a disease that isn't based on party. And that is racism, sexism, misogyny, and all the isms. And it's something that the difference between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party is, while they are equally adept to all those isms, the reality is the Democratic Party is the one that talks about wanting to solve it. And that's why they get into the trans issues and the homophobia issue and the racial issue. That's why they take on all these other identity issues, because they want so much to say we need to get that out of our system. Now, being able to, when things are hard, if the black community is being held, have a stroke, listening to stuff about trans and homosexual seem like that Democrats are not doing the job to help people that are under financial stress. But here is a problem, my brother. Here is a problem. When it comes to communication is an issue, you're right. But when it comes to policy, all the policies that Americans say that they want, all these policies that Americans say they want, whether it be healthcare, whether it be childcare, whether it be stipends for children, programs in schools, all of those policies that all Americans benefit from, that all Americans are helped by, Social Security, Medicare, all those policies that are in danger on the Republican side. Remember, every single Republican that has voted that have come to power so far has tried to privatize these things. And we know what privatization does to healthcare. We know what privatization does to all these institutions. Because there's a profit base, there's less money to actually do the job. But because of all of that, those are things Democrats put out. Donald Trump cannot claim a success in his administration. That isn't a Democratic policy. So anything Donald Trump says worked in his administration was actually a Democratic policy not passed by him. And the only job Donald Trump had was to solve the pandemic problem, which he failed at. So my thing is, while I agree with you that Democrats have a communication problem, Democrats leave too many doors open to what they've done and what they need to do and what they're going to do. I don't think that applied in this last election. And I'm going to end with this, with two things. Kamala Harris said, many of you baby boomers and Gen Xers are now taking care of two sides, your children and your parents. We want to extend Medicare to support you at your home to make lives better for you. Many of you younger people are having kids and things are so high right now. We want to give you extra support to get the things that you want. These are concrete, written out policies that's been spoken about over and over again. She said that is one of the things. Small businesses, you're a young man. You may want to have a small business at some time. She said, we are writing policies that will give you, that will allow you business credits that normally you'd only be able to get over a year. You'll get over several years, 50 grand. Home. A lot of folks want to buy a new home. Right now, it's prohibitive because we have the vulture capitalists buying up homes, holding them, which cause prices to go up, and people can't afford homes. And which party support those policies? The Republican Party. That vulture type policy. Which party was saying we would solve those policies? The Democratic Party. So I'm saying, I get what you're saying, but those who voted for Donald Trump voted for not having the policies that would make their lives better, and instead now voted for a tariff that's going to cause prices to go up because you pay for the tariff. They're going to pass laws that make the environment worse. So what I'm saying, my brother, is as faulty as the Democrats are, I don't know if your mother used to tell you, you cut your face to spite your nose or something like that. I don't remember the phrase. But anyway, yeah. And one last thing on healthcare. Every industrialized country in this world has universal healthcare that doesn't bankrupt its citizens. We're the only one without it. And we spend more than twice as much as they do, which means any problems that you see in any country that gives universal healthcare, we wouldn't have those problems because we have so much more money. Anyway, come back to me, my brother Curtis.
I agree about the healthcare, but that's where you ended on. So the problem with healthcare is that we know we don't have, in America, it would work, but there's no such thing as that type of honesty. Yes, we have the money. Yes, we have the structure for it. But I know it can't work because we don't have that type of honesty, because we have really greedy people. There's nowhere people are going to just understand that, okay, I work every day, but there's people over here that don't work. This is where we are. And this is what I'm saying about Donald Trump. I think America had to face themselves. We are as selfish as they come. Like I said, I've fought in many conflicts, and I promise you, I've seen many different things happen all over the world. And one of the things I've noticed when I came back to the States is that we are some of the most selfish people. We mostly only care about our own indeed problems and issues. And that's what I mean about with black people. This is why they were just so adamant about voting for Donald Trump. It's not that Donald Trump was a great person. I don't even believe to this day that Donald Trump is actually a Republican. He's not. I think Donald Trump is more.
He's not. Yeah, he's not.
Than anything. Like I said, I do look at the Republican Party as a lot of faults also. Don't get me wrong. But I also see this, and I think this is hope for a lot of people because this is what we had to do. The issue is Donald Trump is America, regardless of what we think. Donald Trump is America, been in America for the last 12 years, roughly. And the fact that we don't want to face it, I think this is where Democrats are. Yet so many people, Latino, Black, and just other races, not even that, even white. We have to understand that, guess what? What we believe is gone. When you talk about that disease, racism, it's not. This is who we are. We haven't made it as far as we thought we have made it. And I think this is a wake up to say, okay, you guys thought because Obama, for example, my father, he was proud, to see Obama being elected. I wasn't as happy. I mean, it is, I understand at his age, I think he was 75 when Obama was elected. That was great for a black man to see that. I understand that at his age. But for me, I wasn't as happy for a lot of different reasons. Not that I didn't like Obama. It was I didn't enjoy some of his policies second term, maybe not as much as first term. But anyway, what I'm saying is that I believe now if the Republican Party don't wake up, that they would not have another president because, for one, they didn't have anyone to offer either. If the Republicans had anyone, we wouldn't have Donald Trump. And that's what I'd say, even my Republican friends. So we're not in great shape either. This is a big issue because now Republicans have to look at themselves and say, what do we do after Trump? And this is why I talk to my Democrat friends and family, and I say, we need this to happen because you guys will probably have the election for the next 12 years. And that's just being honest. If you look at the numbers and you look at what's already happening, then it's going to take us 8 to 12 years, I'm talking Republican Party, to even rebuild after Donald Trump. Because what's it going to grow on? Are they going to try to bring up another Donald Trump? No, they can't do that because Donald Trump is Donald Trump. So now you're going to have a Republican who either going to have, and we will see this real soon, within the next year or two. You're going to have at least one Republican to shoot at Donald Trump in order for them to try to get in place to run against him or to run against his party now, because there is a MAGA party, no doubt about it. There's a MAGA party and there's a Republican party. And now you're going to have Republicans running against a MAGA party or either trying to get their voice loud enough to be heard. And that's all I have to say. I do appreciate, once again, you listening to me. There's a lot of things, like I said, this is my opinion. I'm not trying to say anything as fact other than what I do know and have seen with my own eyes. And even that can change daily. I'm old enough now to know that I'm not trying to find... Curtis.
Curtis. Let me just say, Curtis, I want to thank you. I want to thank you really for calling in and having a civil conversation, because what I get from you is that you actually are willing to listen and you're not just a one-item voter. You're going to vote what you think is the best interest of your family. And right now, it seemed to me like you were looking for a shakeup. A shakeup is what we're going to get. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are going to get hurt in the process, including maybe yourself. But I do think a shakeup is in order. And I think the Democratic Party needed a shakeup to say, we need to move things away from those elite folks that don't know what a working class person looks like. And that's what I think that's what I'm getting from you. I'd like one other thing from you if you have about 2 minutes. What is it that you want out of policy?
Out of policy for me, I'm looking for, I wouldn't say healthcare. I mean, I look at healthcare a little bit different from the way you see it. But for me, policy is one thing. I think we have to fix the tax system more than anything for me. That's the policy I think we need to work on first. I do want to secure the borders a little differently from what we hear so much on the mainstream. That policy has to be done. We have some of the worst borders in the world. And like I said, I pull security in other countries. I know they do not allow what we allow here in the United States. I can promise you that. I've been South Korea, I've been in Afghanistan. I know how these borders work. It is nothing like this. I also would like to see an opportunity for not small business. I think this is the issue on both sides. Well, mainly on the Democrat side with small business. So I have 2 small businesses. And the problem I have with small business, even though on the Democrat side, we like to say, they like to say that this is what runs America. That's not true. Small businesses struggle more than anything to find a way for people who want to start business to become corporations, not small businesses. Small businesses are just that, just a 9 to 5 with a different name. That's all. You wouldn't talk to me if I had a real corporation. I wouldn't be here at 4:30 every morning driving and going around if my small businesses was, making millions and millions of dollars. Although they may not be doing bad, I just think that we need to we need to look at small businesses different. That's it. And I don't have
I think, well, look, I appreciate you. And let me just say this. Sometime we need to talk about whether small businesses, let me just tell you, by the numbers, there are more small businesses hiring people than corporations do. And one other thing about that, by the numbers. And the other thing, my brother, is that I think what you talk about America as a selfish country, we've been preaching into everybody's head since they were born about individualism and exceptionalism. And those two things make for, just harping on that, make for a selfish population. I don't think we're inherently selfish once we understand collectivism. In other words, working together, we can accomplish more than as an individual. And also it's more pleasurable. But that is something for us to talk about a lot in the future. And I thank you for listening. I hope you continue to listen, but also I hope you continue to bring other people into the conversation, because as a country, that is how we move ahead. So thank you so kindly, Curtis, for speaking to me.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to brother. Thank you, brother. Let's go to brother Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Good theoretical morning, Brother Egberto. Before I give you my fellow time travelers a simple rhetorical question, I have two quick things I'd like to share. The first one is that the only reason Donald is headed to the White House is because too many people ignore the rule of law. You brought up rule of law. They ignore good government. They ignore the Constitution. And most importantly, certain key people have ignored their oath of office. They violated their oath of office on purpose. They obstructed justice. And I will name three people in that regard. That would be Marble Mouth Mitch McConnell, Chuck Grassley, and Merrick Garland. And Merrick Garland is the most offensive to me because he could have been dismissed on day one when Joe Biden took office. With Joe Biden being a centrist and a butt kisser, and didn't do that. So we have Donald Trump, who's headed to the White House. Instead, he would have been sitting in a jail cell eating a green-tinted bologna sandwich next to a dirty, nasty stainless steel wash basin and toilet. Over a year and a half by now, he'd be having green bologna sandwiches in lockup instead of acting like he's some kind of legitimate adult with a halo over his head and the hero of the working class, which is a bunch of crap. And number two, Curtis has performed a transgender operation for Donald, turning him into Donna. See, Nancy Mace, it's not about going to get physical surgery. Donna Trump, when you see Donna Trump going to a public restroom in Washington, D.C., you have the right, according to you, to pull down his trowel and verify he's Donna and not Donald. So here's a rhetorical question. Did cavemen have rule of law? That's it. That's my rhetorical question. Cavemen, Neanderthals have rule of law.
I don't think so, but did they? Do you know the answer?
No, it's a rhetorical question.
I know. I got you. But hey, Johnny, let me just say that when it comes to Donald Trump and the bathrooms, what I enjoyed listening to Curtis was that Curtis is a Republican, but he's not a crazy dude at all, and he actually wants things that benefit Americans. And he's open to be convinced. Let me finish. He's open to be convinced, but you have to do it. And he's the Democrats haven't told me anything about X, Y, and Z. Now there are some people, and yesterday he said Democrats come across as to sort of speak over people's head, and he's right. You know, we have to get down in the trenches. I've been in the trenches just like you have been in the trenches, and understand that, Donald Trump knows how to get down into the trenches better than most Democrats do, and make people believe he's going to do something for them, even as we know that isn't true. And we also know that the policies that actually worked under his administration were a continuation of Obama's policies and things that he was, patently screwing up. But again, I want to get more folks like Curtis to call in as a conduit to other good Republicans. I really want that. Anyway, anything else, Johnny?
Yes, two more quick things now. Speaking of in the trenches, I would say, to dovetail with you, I would advise our fellow left-wing time travelers who want to talk like Noam Chomsky to come more across like George Carlin. Try that.
Yes. Yes.
Number two, to Curtis. Curtis, if you're listening, it's called the Democratic Party, not Democrat Party. And that's about it.
Thank you, Johnny. Party. Thank you, Johnny. All right, let's go to Brother Spike. Come on in, Spike.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, sir.
All right. Hey, what I want to say is, as long as we stay in the box, we good. We good. We still caught up on the Republicans, the Democrats, and the president run this country. They do not run this country. They do what they are told. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Donald Trump would do anything he can to stay out of prison?
Of course.
It's a question.
Of course. Okay. Yes, he will.
Now, okay. Now, what is that Elon Musk, the Skylink that he had?
Yeah, Starlink, yeah.
Okay, now they were talking about, and I heard Rachel Maddow talking about it, and just think about this. Elon Musk was able to tell his people before the elections even came across the TV that Donald Trump had won. Let's go. We going to Mar-a-Lago. He told his people that. They got that on tape. Okay. Now, Rachel Maddow have Trump on tape. This was on a Thursday before the election was over. They're telling his people, you don't have to go to the polls no more. I got enough votes now. I done won. Now, how do you know? I mean, who stops state people from going to the polls if you know something ain't done happened? Now she's on TV with Donald Trump on tape saying, and why none of this is being played?
Let me answer that. Let me answer that, Spike. I don't know. Okay. Let me answer that because I think I don't want to get us started the way the right got started with the election being stolen and that changes were made to the voting. Let me just say this as a matter of. I'm going to answer. I promise you. I'm going to answer you.
You want to get up in it, man?
No, sir. I'm going to answer you. I really am. All right, but I want to do it this way. I want to say this. When behind the scenes, I do want people to make sure that there wasn't some concerted effort to do anything with these computerized systems. Now, let me just say one thing. All but 3% of our election machines are backed up by paper. In other words, all the voting can be tallied again by paper. In other words, you put your stuff in the machine gives a paper slip of how you actually voted. So as opposed to the past where most of the electronic machines just had the numbers and there was no verification or whatever, now we have some better hold on that. The second thing is that none of these machines are connected to the internet. Thirdly, all of these are different. Yeah, let me finish. All of these machines have their own. The counties have their own jurisdiction. So, for a mass takeover of our elected system to occur, I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'm saying for it to occur and for it to remain secret, there are so many people that have to be involved and stay quiet and somehow remove all evidence that it's almost impossible to do. I'm not saying it's not possible. You have enough money, you can do just about anything. But where I don't want us to go, Brother Spike, is I don't want us going to where they went. Where is that? They start riling up about election being stolen without real evidence. If there are people out there, starting with one of our good friends out of LA, who was doing a few calculations with the vote, if you will, just to verify that all is okay. So I want you to just stand by on that. Right now, it seems Donald Trump won the election by a small amount of votes, less than 3 million votes, less than Hillary Clinton lost the election by. In other words, he would have won by the smallest amount. And that's where we're at right now. Okay?
Right. I understand exactly what you're saying. But what I'm saying is you got someone running for president, running for his life, and he telling his people, you don't have to go to the polls no more. I done won.
Let me just say this. I want to answer that. I need to answer that, sir. He said that, but all the people behind the scenes were working their AWSs off to make sure people got to the polls, and that's what they did more so than Democrats did. Yes.
Stay out of prison. You make that kind of statement. What is it you know that's going on? You know, and then we don't even know how many black votes were purged. And they were purging black votes.
Now here's the deal. Now, Spike, that is something to talk about now. And let me explain why. And real quickly, and then I'm off to go to the other caller, but let me explain that to you. Go ahead. Real quick.
He made that statement. This man is trying to get out of prison. You make that kind of statement. What is it you know that's going on? You know.
Okay, I got you. I read you. I got you. Sir. Okay, Spike. All right, Spike, I got you. And I'm hearing myself in the background, so please turn it down. But I'm gonna have to answer your question and then let you go, Spike. And we'll talk tomorrow. I tell you what, Spike, I'm going to have to let you go now and then listen to my response to you. And then I got to get to the other callers real quick. Spike, here's the answer to the question. Okay. You do have to look at in all these different states where a lot of, the killing by 1 million cuts occurred, murder by 1 million cuts, bleeding by 1 million cuts. Is what occurred. They did a lot of little things to suppress the votes all over the country, and that is partially responsible for a lower vote turnout. But again, these people could still vote if they wanted to. It just took more effort. All right, I got to start going through real quickly on these calls. Let's go to Gil real quick. Come on in, Gil.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. Talk to me, my brother.
Great. I have a strange question.
Yes.
Is it true that a president has the presidential power to execute a death row inmate?
Only.
To go ahead and issue a sentence to have a death row inmate to be.
Let me answer that question for you. Only in federal cases, okay? A president can pardon anybody who is in jail or has a conviction for a federal offense. In this country, there are two kinds of offenses: those that occur on the federal level and those that occur on the state level. And then, of course, under the states, there are different jurisdictional areas like cities, counties, states. So the president only has the authority to do that on federal cases. But if you are in a state case, he does not. Anything else, my brother?
Did President Trump execute that order when he was president?
I don't know. I don't know if he actually saved anybody, but I think he did. I think he got folks pardoned, but I don't. Well, not I think. I know he got a lot of people pardoned, including some people that did some pretty bad things. But anything else?
Okay, the reason why I asked is because I read on the feed on social media that he had certain inmates executed before he left the office in his first term.
Okay, what he did is he did allow some execution to go through as well. But anyway, Gil, I got to go to the other caller. So thank you so kindly for calling, my brother. Let's go to Jim. Come on in, Jim. And I'm going to have to be a bit quicker. Come on in, Jim.
Hey, yes, I was listening to Curtis there, and it sounds like he served in the military and everything. That was good. But when I was growing up, my father served in the military, went through 2 wars, and we didn't have to worry about health care either because I got sick when I was a kid, from a broken arm, went to the military hospital. That's it, so I can understand. Maybe Curtis needs to look at that because a lot of people are going broke, And,
no, Curtis, I think if you listen to Curtis was talking about an example out of Brazil where he saw public health care sort of fail. And but he's not at all not open to universal health care. I think he actually said he agreed with well-implemented universal health care. So I don't think, again, Curtis is somebody, he's a Republican, and there's nothing wrong with being a Republican. But again, I think he's one of those Republicans who will go for any solution that works, irrespective of what party it comes from. So, I mean, I think Jim, men like Curtis, voters like Curtis, are folks that we ought to embrace. Because, again, these are people we can actually come out with policies with. Just my thought. Anything else, Jim, before I move on?
No, that's just it. I was thinking you might ask him about that. But anyway, that's just something to think about because a lot of people that had health care, good health care, were not too concerned about the Affordable Care Act.
Right. No, hey, brother, you are so right. And that's why we're working for healthcare for all. I am still committed to that. I'm still committed for the destruction of Medicare Advantage, which is a fraud. And by the way, folks, up until December 7th, you're going to be getting those phone calls trying to con you into getting Medicare Advantage. Do not do it unless you are simply so poor that you cannot afford a Medigap program. But please, people, don't do it.
I just throw the stuff out.
There you go. Thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate you. Let's go to Sister Betty. Come on in, Betty.
Good morning, Egberto. You okay?
Yes. Good morning, sis. How you doing?
I want to say I'm Blue and Joe. One thing about Curtis, don't forget, on blacks, I am very ever bending. I'm sorry. And I lived with the blacks for 15 years. I never hate. I seen their death, the jail, the booze, the health, and that's the side that I'll always look for, and it's still there too, Egberto. And on the small business, I had a small business for me and my husband 23 years. We got taxed, and the other everything, nickel and dime you to death. And you had to be very good to have a business for 23 years. We paid it all, done it all legal, but small business is still good if you know what you're doing. And on Trump, right now we're stuck in a ditch, a very, very bad ditch with him coming, and we need to make a move. So love you both. Bye bye.
Thank you, Betty. Have a wonderful day. All right. In the chat, I just want to give a shout out to Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. Eric Hayes from Montgomery County. We have Diggs BTW says, "What's up? Don't know where you're from. You didn't put it." We also have Joe Destiny, who made sure to correct me. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Thank you, my brother. And Jay is also in there. Says, in other words, don't be bullied by a pulpit. It's on individual responsibility. I'm still crying. Joe Destines, thank you so kindly. All right, let's go to Brian. Brian, come on in.
Good morning. How is everyone today?
We're doing fine. Talk to me, Brian.
Yeah. Whose trial got delayed yesterday?
Not delayed. I think, I don't know who got delayed. I just know that Donald Trump has 2 federal cases pretty much got thrown out.
Yeah, they did. And I wonder why.
Because he's going to be president. No, because he's going to be president again.
Drawn up. Yeah, no, because they're drawn up fake prosecutions.
Okay.
You didn't read the
Again, sir, the prosecutor said, following their memo, that he stands by all the accusations that he have in the thing for Donald Trump on both cases, but because Donald Trump was elected, it was dismissed without prejudice. What that means is after Donald Trump, even though it probably won't occur, it means that after Donald Trump is done serving as president, that the case can come back to the fold. But of course, that is unlikely to come for an 80-something-year-old guy. So again, no, there's nothing wrong with the case. Donald Trump is an insurrectionist. Donald Trump is a traitor. That is stated in those things are. Wait a minute. I am not done speaking, sir. Donald Trump is an insurrectionist and a traitor, and the people saw it fit to re-elect him, so he gets off. Anyway, real quick, Brian, finish up for me.
Okay, you just called him an insurrectionist. Didn't the Supreme
And a traitor. And a traitor.
I've never seen someone hate a man so much as you hate Donald Trump. The Supreme Court dropped the case of insurrection. Is that true, yes or no?
Not quite, but I know that's what you think, but not quite. But anyway,
yes or no,
Brian, I got to go because I got 3 minutes left and 2 more calls. So look, we'll keep talking tomorrow. You get on every day. So thank you so kindly, brother. We'll talk. Let's go to Bard. Come on in, Bard.
Spike, I wanted to let you know the election ended 3 weeks ago, but California is still counting votes. So there's your legality of the election. And as far as Curtis, there's a good movie out. It's called Uncle Tom. It's got all blacks in it. It's by a plumber named Chad O. Jackson. If you will watch that on YouTube, it's got Ben Carson in it, and Herman Cain, and Candace Owens, and you'll learn a lot about the Democrat Party if you watch that movie. And the last thing is the government running healthcare. They can't even run the post office. So
you know what? Actually, let me just correct that. Bard, I don't allow lies on my channel. Here's the deal: the post office is run better than UPS, FedEx, and all the others combined. The post office is able to for 60 cents. The post office can get a letter any part of this country. The UPS can't do that. And let's get better. UPS uses the post office for areas that they are unable to get to. You don't know these things. You should learn these things. Don't let folks fool you, folks. The post office is a much better operation than UPS, FedEx, or anyone. And in fact, the post office is used by FedEx and UPS not only for their database system with knowing every address in this country, but for the last mile in just about everywhere. They don't tell you these things. When I talk about a failed mainstream media, this is what I'm talking about, because Bard is uninformed, not because necessarily Bard wants to be uninformed, but he just didn't know that. So Bard, I just taught you something. Thank you so kindly. Let's go to Jeff. Come on in, Jeff.
Hey, Egberto, how are you today?
I am doing fine, my brother.
Yeah. we had a conversation, I guess, about a week ago, and you want me to tell you Trump's accomplishments in office. And I did a little bit of research. I used the White House archives, and I'm not sure if you use that. I doubt you do. But when he was in office during the third quarter of 2020, the economy grew at 33.1%. That was the most rapid GDP in history.
Okay, sir. It is impossible. Let me repeat. It's impossible absent a crash and a recovery for the economy to have grown 33% in one quarter. Okay? So I don't know where you got those numbers from. No, you that is again. Remember, think about that. Yeah, go ahead. So that's that's not correct. But go ahead. Go to the next one.
Well, it also says household net worth rose 7 million in the quarter of 2020 to 112 trillion, all-time high. What else? There's a bunch of other stuff too, but I think that I have to agree with Brian that you hate the man so much you're not even willing to give him a chance.
No, sir. No, I don't hate the man. The man is just incapable of being a man. Period. It's not hate. It's just what he does. I don't like people who rape women. I don't like people who steal from the working class. I don't like people who do those things. If you like somebody would you like to have your daughter pick up somebody that will rape her? Would you have respect for somebody who steals? Would you have respect for somebody who tried to overthrow the country? I don't think so. So telling me, my dear brother, that I hate the guy. No, I don't like what the guy did, and electing him, I think, is a disgrace to the country. I mean, it's not like this guy hadn't done these things. And when it comes to the economy, my brother, he lived off of Obama's economy, and the only thing he did that was economy-wise was to increase tariffs, which started inflation. That's a statement of fact. Thank you, Jeff. Call back tomorrow. I got to go. Let me run to Jack to see if Jack has something to say. And he does have something to say.
Yeah, let me find it. The solution is to strengthen democracy with fairness and compassion and apply the law evenly and lightly.
Oh, wow. I love that. Folks, look, the rest of the show can be found at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I love you all. I don't care what party you are. I don't care who you are. You are a part of this country, and we have to work together. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby? I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.